Liara's life had always been one of glittering halls, endless luxury, and unyielding expectations. As the daughter of one of the galaxy's wealthiest and most powerful billionaires, she moved through life like a jewel on display. Every alien she encountered admired her intelligence, her grace, and her beauty. Every word she spoke, every movement she made was noted, analyzed, and praised. Yet, despite the constant attention and the endless opportunities, Liara felt imprisoned. She looked out from her penthouse window, high above the floating city of Cyrales, where the sunlight danced off the crystal towers and shimmering skyways. The city below was alive with activity, traders haggling, flying vehicles weaving in and out of traffic, and the occasional human worker hustling through the streets. Her gaze lingered on the humans, the fragile and simple creatures who lived in cramped neighborhoods at the edges of the city, working hard just to survive. She often wondered what life would feel like without the rules, without the expectations, without the suffocating pressure of wealth. That morning, Liara made a decision she had never dared before. She would leave her palace for a few hours, venture into the lower districts, and see the world through eyes that were not gilded with privilege. She dressed quickly, selecting clothes that would hide her identity and allow her to blend in. It was risky, of course. Her father, Alien, was strict and ruthless. He had no patience for his daughter's whims, and she knew the consequences if anyone discovered her wandering in the poorer parts of the city. But the need to feel something real, something unfiltered, burned inside her. The streets of the lower district were a chaotic blend of colors, sounds, and smells. Merchants shouted their wares, children darted between crowded walkways, and the occasional hovercart whizzed past, narrowly missing pedestrians. Liara moved cautiously, keeping to the shadows, feeling a thrill at the freedom that came with anonymity. It was there, among the crowded alleys, that she first saw him, Ethan. He was small by comparison to the towering aliens around him, a human with dark hair, sharp brown eyes, and a lean, wiry frame. He carried a crate of supplies across the street, his movements careful and precise. Despite the constant rush of the district, he moved with purpose, unaware of the chaotic world around him. Liara noticed how his hands trembled slightly as he balanced the load, a tiny imperfection that somehow made him more real, more human. As if fate had scripted it, a sudden crash sent a floating cargo crate tumbling toward him. He froze for a moment and then instinct took over. He shoved the crate away, but in doing so, lost his balance. Liara reacted without thinking. She lunged forward, grabbing his arm and steadying him just in time. "Thank you," he said, a breathless smile on his face. His voice was soft, but there was a strength behind it that drew her in. I didn't see that coming." Liara smiled back, a little nervously. "Neither did I. Are you okay?" "I will be," he said, adjusting the crate. "That was lucky, wasn't it?" They walked together for a few minutes, their steps cautious in the busy streets. Liara asked questions, curious about the human life he led. Ethan spoke with honesty, telling her about the struggles of surviving in a city that valued wealth above everything else, of working long hours just to pay for necessities, and the constant fear of being overlooked or discarded. Liara listened, captivated. For the first time in her life, someone's words were not polished, calculated, or filtered. They were real. As they reached a quiet corner of the district, away from prying eyes, Liara laughed, a soft, genuine sound that startled even her. "You make it sound exciting," she said. "Life down here, it's dangerous, yes, but alive. I can feel it just by standing here." Ethan glanced at her, noticing the subtle difference in her tone, the curiosity in her eyes. "It is," he admitted, "and it's hard, but every day, every choice matters. You don't get to hide behind gold or power here. You survive by being clever, by being brave." Liara felt a spark inside her, a sense of freedom she had never known. She wanted to feel brave. She wanted to feel alive. Without thinking, without considering the consequences, she reached out and took his hand. Ethan looked at her, startled, and then smiled. "Then let's be brave," he said. The night that followed was a whirlwind of laughter, shared stories, and stolen moments of freedom. They explored hidden rooftops where the city lights glimmered like stars, danced in empty market streets, and tasted street foods that were foreign yet delightful to Liara. For one night, she was not a billionaire's daughter. She was simply Liara, a young being capable of feeling, of choosing, of being herself. The connection between them grew naturally. Ethan's laughter was infectious, his courage inspiring. Liara's curiosity and intelligence drew him in. They discovered in each other a sense of equality that the rest of the galaxy had denied them. And for a few precious hours, nothing else mattered. By the early morning, exhaustion and exhilaration mingled. They found themselves in a quiet garden atop an abandoned tower, looking out over the city as dawn painted the sky in shades of pink and gold. The moment was fragile, fleeting, and perfect. "I wish this night could last forever," Liara whispered. "Maybe it can," Ethan replied softly, taking her hand again. And then, without planning, without hesitation, they shared a night together. It was tender, unguarded, and unlike anything Liara had ever experienced. It was not about wealth, status, or appearance. It was about two beings recognizing the humanity, the courage, and the heart within each other. When the sun rose fully over the city, Liara woke alone. The garden was quiet, the world around her slowly coming to life. She stretched, feeling the warmth of the morning on her skin, but then a wave of panic hit her. Something felt different. She sat up, her heart pounding, a cold fear washing over her. It took a moment to process, but the realization struck her like lightning. She was pregnant. Her mind raced. How could this happen? She had been careful, but somehow it had. The implications were enormous. Her father, the elites, the expectations, all of it would descend on her if they discovered this. And yet there was another thought, quiet but persistent, the human. Ethan, the one who had shown her freedom, joy, and honesty in a world full of gold and lies. Liara's pulse quickened. She had barely known him, and yet their connection had changed everything. She had to find him. She had to tell him. She had to figure out what to do next. She left the garden, moving through the city streets with a mixture of fear and determination. Every shadow seemed threatening, every passerby a potential witness. She needed answers. She needed a plan. And deep down, she knew she could not face this alone. The question that haunted her as she navigated the lower district was simple, yet terrifying. How could a poor human and an alien billionaire's daughter build a future when the galaxy itself seemed determined to keep them apart? Liara did not yet have the answers. But one thing was certain, her life would never be the same again. And somewhere not far away, Ethan woke as well. He had no idea the life-altering news awaiting him, no sense that the night they shared would ripple through both their worlds in ways neither could yet imagine. The city continued to bustle, unaware of the secret it now carried. A human and an alien, bound by chance, connection, and a growing responsibility, were about to challenge everything society had ever told them. The story had just begun. Liara moved through the streets with her heart pounding. Every corner, every passerby seemed like a threat. Her mind raced with questions she had never anticipated. How would she face her father? Could she even tell him? And most importantly, how could she find Ethan? The thought of sharing this secret with him filled her with both hope and anxiety. Ethan, meanwhile, had started his day as usual. He worked in the bustling docks of the lower district, loading cargo onto hovering freighters for minimal pay. The night they had shared lingered in his mind, not as regret, but as a memory of something extraordinary. He had never met anyone like Liara before. She was alien, rich, and untouchable by society's rules, yet she had treated him like a real person, not an inferior being. That had left a mark on him. Liara finally spotted him near the docks, balancing a crate with practiced ease. His concentration was intense, his movements precise. She hesitated, unsure of how to approach him. But the bond they had shared, the connection that now carried more weight than either of them could understand, propelled her forward. "Ethan," she called softly, trying to keep her voice steady. He turned, his brow furrowing at the sight of her. "Liara," his voice held surprise and concern. "Is everything okay?" She shook her head, taking a deep breath. "No. Everything is not okay." She stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Something happened, something important I need to tell you." Ethan's eyes searched hers. "You can tell me anything." Liara swallowed hard. I'm pregnant." The words trembled on her lips. She watched him carefully, afraid of his reaction. For a moment he said nothing. Then he dropped the crate, stepping closer. "Pregnant." His voice was a mix of disbelief and awe. "With me?" Liara nodded. "Yes, I don't know how to explain it or how it happened, but it did. And now we have to figure out what to do." Ethan's mind raced. He had always known humans were fragile and that aliens, especially wealthy ones, looked down on humans. But as he looked into Liara's eyes, he saw vulnerability, courage, and a resolve he could not ignore. "We'll figure it out," he said firmly. "Whatever it takes, we'll face it together." Her relief was immediate, but it was tempered by fear. Together. Could they really survive the consequences of this secret? Could two beings from completely different worlds navigate the dangers ahead? The first challenge was keeping the pregnancy hidden. Liara could not risk her father finding out. Alien was a man who demanded perfection and obedience. Anything less would be met with punishment, exile, or worse. They devised a plan. Liara would return to her family estate, pretending all was normal, while Ethan would continue his life in the lower district, ready to support her from the shadows. In the following days, Liara returned to her opulent world, but nothing felt the same. Every interaction with her family, every conversation with servants and tutors, felt hollow. She could not concentrate on her lessons, her projects, or her obligations. Her thoughts were consumed with Ethan, the child growing inside her, and the unknown future. Meanwhile, Ethan tried to carry on as usual, but his mind wandered constantly to Liara. He began to notice the small details of life in the lower district with new awareness. The exhaustion of workers, the ingenuity required to survive, the small acts of kindness that kept hope alive. He realized that humans, despite their limitations, possessed resilience, courage, and a spirit that could not be broken even in the harshest environments. One evening, as Liara walked through the family estate's vast gardens, she realized the isolation of her life. Though surrounded by luxury, she felt trapped. Her father's eyes seemed to watch her constantly, and the elite gatherings she attended felt superficial. She longed for freedom, for honesty, for a world where she and Ethan could exist without fear. She sent a discreet message to Ethan, arranging a secret meeting outside the city. They chose a quiet, abandoned observatory on the outskirts of Sorales, a place few visited. The moment she arrived, she saw him waiting, leaning against the old railing and looking out over the city. "Liara," he said softly, a smile touching his lips, "you look worried." "I am worried," she admitted, her voice trembling. "Every day I feel like my life is slipping further from me. My father, he would never accept this. The society we live in, it's designed to punish people like us." Ethan reached out, taking her hand. "Then we'll make our own path," he said. "We can't change their minds overnight, but we can protect each other. We can protect our child. That's what matters." She leaned against him, drawing comfort from his presence. For the first time since learning of her pregnancy, she felt a sense of possibility. Together, they were stronger than the rules of society, stronger than fear, stronger than expectation. Their moments together became precious and rare. They explored hidden corners of the city, finding places where alien surveillance was minimal and humans were respected. They met allies, other humans and sympathetic aliens, who offered advice, safe houses, and resources. Each encounter reminded Liara that courage, loyalty, and heart were qualities that transcended wealth and species. But the outside world was never far behind. Rumors began to circulate among the elites. A human had been seen with Liara, and whispers of scandal spread through the crystal towers. Some envied Ethan, others mocked him, while the majority dismissed him as unworthy. The pressure mounted, threatening to expose them at any moment. Liara's father, sensing something amiss, began to scrutinize her more closely. His questions were subtle but piercing. "Where have you been?" he asked one evening, his tone icy. "Your behavior is unusual." Liara's heart raced. She had to answer carefully. "I've been studying the city's lower districts, father, observing human interactions for my research project," she said, forcing a calmness she did not feel. Alien's eyes narrowed. "Research. You are expected to engage with potential alliances, not wander the streets. Be careful, Liara. Not all humans are straightforward." Liara nodded, hiding her fear. She knew her father would never accept the truth. She also knew she could not remain silent forever. One night, as she rested in her quarters, she felt the first real signs of life from the child within her. A tiny flutter, almost imperceptible, yet undeniable. Tears filled her eyes. This child was not just a consequence of a knight's choice. It was a bridge between two worlds, a symbol of courage, and a test of everything she believed in. Ethan, in his modest home, felt a similar surge of emotion. Though he had never imagined fatherhood, he now realized he would do anything to protect this life. He trained himself, learning about alien physiology, preparing for the day when Liara and the child might be in danger. As the weeks passed, the couple's bond grew deeper. They shared stories, fears, and hopes. Liara taught Ethan about alien politics, strategy, and diplomacy. Ethan shared human ingenuity, resilience, and compassion. Together, they built a plan, not just to survive, but to thrive. Their efforts were tested sooner than expected. One evening, as Liara walked through the estate gardens, she noticed a shadow moving unnaturally. She froze. The figure stepped forward. It was an elite alien enforcer sent by her father to monitor her. Panic surged through her. She had to escape, and quickly. She sent a covert message to Ethan. Within moments, he appeared at the edge of the estate, having anticipated trouble. Using his resourcefulness, he guided her through hidden passages, dodging surveillance and guards. They emerged outside the city, breathless and exhilarated. "Are you all right?" Ethan asked, holding her close. "I am," she replied, tears of relief in her eyes. "Because of you, I am all right." That night, they sat beneath the stars on a quiet hill overlooking the city. They spoke of the future, the child, the challenges ahead, and the possibilities that lay beyond the constraints of alien society. Liara realized that love and courage could not be measured by wealth or status. The child growing inside her was proof that humans, with all their simplicity and imperfection, could bring hope to a galaxy consumed by power and greed. Ethan, looking at her, felt a surge of pride. "We'll do this," he said. "No matter what happens, we'll face it together. You, me, and our child. And maybe we can change the world a little too." Liara smiled, a genuine warmth spreading through her. For the first time, she believed in a future that was truly her own. A future where she and Ethan could defy expectations, embrace love, and create a life guided not by wealth, status, or fear, but by courage, honesty, and heart. The galaxy outside was vast, unpredictable, and often cruel. But inside their hearts, Liara and Ethan found a sanctuary of trust, resilience, and determination. Together, they would face whatever challenges awaited them. They would protect their child, navigate alien prejudice, and redefine what it meant to be brave. And as the stars shimmered above, Liara understood that this was only the beginning. The real journey, the struggle, the triumphs, and the victories, was yet to come. The weeks passed, and the secret they carried weighed heavier with every day. Liara felt the presence of the life inside her with increasing clarity, tiny movements that were both thrilling and terrifying. Every flutter reminded her that she and Ethan were no longer just two beings from different worlds. They were a family. But the reality of their situation was inescapable. Her father, Alien, was vigilant, and the alien elite were beginning to whisper about the human who had dared to touch the daughter of a billionaire. Liara spent her days carefully navigating the estate, her heart pounding with each interaction with her father. He was more observant than ever, his sharp eyes missing nothing. Every question, every look felt like a test. Yet she held her composure, aware that one misstep could ruin everything. She knew she had to be clever. Ethan, meanwhile, was preparing for the possibility of confrontation. He trained himself in ways he had never imagined, learning about alien technology, their customs, and even self-defense techniques in case anyone tried to harm Liara or their child. Though he was just a human, his courage was unwavering and his determination unshakable. Humans might be seen as weaker by alien standards, but Ethan knew the value of heart, loyalty, and resilience, qualities that could not be measured by wealth or power. One evening, Liara received a message from Ethan. The tone was urgent but calm. He had learned that her father was planning to confront her directly, possibly sending enforcers to test the situation. The message read simply, "Meet me at the northern cliffs at dawn. Don't be seen leaving the estate." Liara felt a surge of fear but also a strange sense of relief. She had to act, and she had to act now. That night she made preparations, packing essentials in a small bag and carefully avoiding the estate's surveillance systems. She slipped out into the quiet streets, her heart racing with anticipation and anxiety. The northern cliffs overlooked the city, a place of beauty and danger. The wind whipped around them, carrying the distant hum of flying vehicles below. Ethan was waiting, his expression a mixture of concern and determination. "Are you all right?" he asked, moving closer to her. "I will be," she said, though her voice carried the tension she felt. "We have to be careful. My father, he will not accept this. Not ever." Ethan took her hand. "Then we'll face him together. Whatever comes, we are stronger together." They spent the night planning, discussing possible outcomes and strategies. Liara would confront her father directly, not with fear but with clarity and resolve. Ethan would be by her side, a symbol of human courage and loyalty. They knew it would be dangerous. They knew it might change their lives forever, but they also knew that standing together was the only way forward. At dawn, they returned to the estate. The halls were quiet, the servants oblivious to the storm about to unfold. Liara's father waited in the main hall, his presence imposing. He was taller than most aliens, with sharp features and eyes that seemed to pierce through every lie. His expression was unreadable, a mixture of anger, curiosity, and expectation. "Liara," he said, his voice cold but controlled, "I have heard disturbing rumors. Is it true that you have involved yourself with a human?" Liara stepped forward, her head held high. "Yes, father. It is true, and more than that, I am carrying his child." Alien's eyes narrowed. He took a step closer, his voice low and dangerous. "Do you understand the consequences of this? A human and a child. This is unacceptable. This will bring shame and dishonor to our family." "Do you think I will allow it?" Liara met his gaze without flinching. "No, you will not allow it, but this is my choice. This child is alive, and it is my responsibility to protect it. I will not hide it. I will not abandon it, and I will raise it with Ethan." For a moment the room was silent. The servants and attendants watched, unsure of what to expect. Then Ethan stepped forward, his stance firm, his gaze unwavering. "I am not a billionaire," he said, his voice steady. "I am human. I may not have wealth or status, but I have courage, loyalty, and honor. I will protect Liara and our child. I will stand by her no matter what. If that is not enough in your eyes, then perhaps it is time to see value in qualities beyond gold and power." Alien studied Ethan carefully. He had expected weakness, fear, perhaps even desperation. Instead, he found strength, determination, and a sense of honor that he could not ignore. He frowned, contemplating the human before him. The child within Liara was innocent, a life that could not be undone, and perhaps Alien realized there was more to humans than his prejudices allowed. "You speak boldly for a human," he said finally, "and yet your words carry truth. Courage is not measured by wealth. Loyalty cannot be bought. Perhaps there is more to this than I first thought." Liara and Ethan exchanged a glance, hope rising cautiously. The confrontation was far from over, but a crack had appeared in Alien's armor of expectations. Over the following days, Liara and Ethan worked tirelessly to prove themselves. They engaged in public projects, demonstrating the human ability to inspire, create, and lead. They helped struggling communities, solved problems that aliens had deemed impossible, and showed the value of heart, determination, and ingenuity. Slowly, perception began to shift. Liara's father observed quietly, his initial anger softening as he witnessed Ethan's integrity and courage firsthand. He saw the devotion between the two, the unwavering commitment to one another, and the protective love that guided every decision. And he began to understand that this child, half human and half alien, was a symbol of unity, strength, and potential. The galaxy, too, began to take notice. Rumors of the billionaire's daughter and the human she had chosen spread, initially met with skepticism and ridicule. But as people observed their actions, how they treated others, how they faced challenges, and how they inspired those around them, attitudes began to shift. Humans were no longer seen as weak or insignificant. They were admired, respected, and valued. Liara's pregnancy progressed, and with each passing week, she felt a deepening connection to the life growing inside her. The child was not just a responsibility, it was a beacon of hope, a living testament to courage, love, and the human spirit. She and Ethan prepared a safe and nurturing environment, blending alien technology and human ingenuity to create a place where their child could grow free from fear and prejudice. The day of the birth arrived quietly, without fanfare but with profound significance. Liara and Ethan were surrounded by allies they had earned through courage, loyalty, and compassion. The birth was smooth, the child healthy, and a sense of joy filled the room. As Liara held the newborn, tears of happiness streamed down her face. Ethan stood beside her, pride and awe shining in his eyes. "This is just the beginning," he whispered, brushing a strand of hair from Liara's face. "Our child will grow knowing courage, honor, and heart. They will see that humans can stand alongside any being in the galaxy." Liara nodded, feeling a profound sense of peace. For the first time in her life, she felt truly free, not from wealth or status, but from fear, expectation, and limitation. Together, they had faced the impossible and emerged victorious. Alien, observing from a distance, approached. His expression was solemn, yet there was a hint of pride. "You have both surprised me," he admitted. "The courage you have shown, the loyalty, the strength, it is undeniable. Perhaps I have underestimated the value of humans." "Perhaps I have judged too harshly," Liara smiled softly. "It is not too late, Father. We can create a world where everyone, human or alien, is valued for their heart and spirit, not their wealth or status." He regarded her thoughtfully, then nodded. "Perhaps you are right. This child, this family, may be the beginning of a new understanding." The story of Liara, Ethan, and their child spread throughout the galaxy, not as a tale of scandal, but as a testament to courage, resilience, and human spirit. Humans, once seen as weak and insignificant, were now admired for their bravery, loyalty, and ingenuity. They had faced prejudice, danger, and fear, and emerged stronger, inspiring countless others. Liara and Ethan stood together on the balcony of their home, overlooking the city where it all began. The sun set in brilliant colors, reflecting off the crystal towers, and the wind carried a sense of hope and possibility. "We did it," Liara whispered, leaning into Ethan. No, he corrected gently. We will keep doing it every day together. Their child slept peacefully between them, a symbol of unity, courage, and the power of the human heart. In a galaxy dominated by wealth, power, and alien superiority, humans had proven that bravery, love, and integrity could triumph. And so the journey continued, not just for Liara, Ethan, and their child, but for all humans who dared to dream, to act, and to prove that the human spirit was unbreakable. The galaxy had witnessed their story. The world had changed. And humans had finally earned their place among the stars, not through money or influence, but through heart, courage, and unwavering resilience.